He sat at the corner table of the small Italian restaurant, the kind where candles flickered inside old wine bottles and the scent of basil drifted through the air. Ethan Cole wasn't used to blind dates. His assistant had practically forced him into it, saying, "You've been alone too long, boss." So there he was, the billionaire founder of a successful tech company, wearing jeans for the first time in months and trying to look like an ordinary man. He checked his watch again. The woman was 15 minutes late. He was about to signal for the bill when the door opened and a woman in a soft cream dress stepped in. Her hair was tied back loosely, and her eyes searched the room nervously before locking onto him. She smiled, a quiet, hesitant smile that felt oddly familiar. Ethan stood up ever the gentleman and extended his hand. "You must be Lily," he said. She looked at him for a moment as if deciding something in her mind. Then softly she replied, "Yes, I'm Lily." Her voice trembled slightly. They sat down, and Ethan couldn't help but feel like something about her tugged at a memory buried deep in his past. There was a sadness in her eyes, but also a strength, like she'd survived something she never talked about. As they ordered, conversation flowed easily at first. Small talk, laughter, the awkward comfort of strangers trying to connect. She asked about his job, and he told her he worked in technology, avoiding the full truth. He didn't want her to see the money, the headlines, the polished CEO image. He wanted to be seen as Ethan, just a man. Halfway through dinner, she grew quiet. She stared at her plate for a long moment, then looked up and whispered, "You don't remember me, do you?" The words hit him like a sudden wind. He blinked, trying to read her face. "I'm sorry." "Should I?" Her lips quivered, and she gave a small, painful smile. "You shouldn't. Most people wouldn't remember." "But I do." She took a deep breath. 12 years ago, you came to a small foster home on the east side of the city. You were doing a volunteer program from your college. You helped paint our walls and fixed the broken swing outside. There was a little girl with pigtails who followed you around all day." Ethan froze. His mind raced back to that summer, a volunteer project he'd done almost half a lifetime ago. The place smelled of paint and rain. There had been children laughing, a few broken toys, and one little girl who kept handing him paintbrushes and calling him sir. "That was you?" he whispered. She nodded. "I was 10. You were the first person who ever told me I was worth something. You gave me your wristband and said it was lucky. You said, 'Whenever life gets hard, hold on to this and remember you can change it.'" Her eyes glistened with tears. "I still have it." Ethan swallowed hard. "I had no idea." "I know," she said softly. "But I never forgot. That day someone saw me, and it gave me a reason to fight, to study, to keep going. I got a scholarship. I worked my way through college. I became a social worker because of that one day." Ethan's throat tightened. He felt a lump rise he couldn't swallow away. "Lily, I don't know what to say." She smiled faintly. "Say you're still the man who believes people can change their lives." He reached across the table, his hand trembling slightly. "I am, or at least I try to be." They sat in silence for a moment, the air heavy with something bigger than words. Outside, the city lights shimmered against the windows. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt completely still, as if time had stopped just to give them this moment. The waiter brought dessert, but neither touched it. Lily began to talk, about her work with foster kids, about the little ones she'd helped find homes. She spoke with quiet passion, the kind that came from surviving pain and choosing kindness anyway. Ethan listened, mesmerized. Every sentence made him see her not as a stranger, but as the living proof that one small act of compassion could ripple across a lifetime. Later, as they walked out, a cold drizzle started. Ethan insisted on walking her to her car. She laughed when he held his jacket over her head. "You always did that," she teased. "Back then you covered the swing set with a tarp so the rain wouldn't ruin it." He smiled. "Guess some habits don't die." They reached her car, and she turned to him, her eyes glimmering in the streetlight. "I didn't come tonight for romance," she admitted. "My friend signed me up for this app to make me get out more. But I think maybe the universe had other plans." Ethan hesitated, searching her face. Maybe it did. Before she got in, she took something out of her bag. an old, faded blue wristband frayed at the edges. She pressed it into his hand. "You gave this to me when I needed hope. I think it's your turn to have it back." He stared at it, tears stinging his eyes. "Lily, I can't. Please," she whispered. "Maybe you've helped enough people. Maybe now it's your turn to be helped." Then she smiled and drove away. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat by his window, holding the wristband under the city lights. He'd built empires, made fortunes, and yet none of it compared to what he'd felt in that restaurant. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. He felt human again. The next day, he found the old foster home. The paint had faded, the swings creaked, but the laughter of new children filled the air. He met the staff, quietly donated funds under another name, and asked if Lily still volunteered there. She did. 2 weeks later, he showed up with fresh paint, brushes, and a sheepish smile. She was already there, kneeling beside a little boy, teaching him how to draw a sun. She looked up, surprise lighting her face. "You again?" she said, smiling. "Guess I couldn't stay away." She laughed softly. "Planning to paint another wall?" He handed her a brush. "Only if you help." As they painted together, the children giggled around them. It began to rain again, soft and light. Ethan moved to cover the boy's drawing from getting wet. Lily noticed, shook her head affectionately, and whispered, "Some things never change." He looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in his life, realized that love doesn't arrive in grand gestures or perfect timing. It often walks back into your life quietly, wearing the face of someone you once gave hope to. Years later, when people asked Ethan and Lily how they met, they'd smile and say, "It started with a blind date." But it wasn't blind at all. It was destiny finding its way back. And every night, on his wrist, Ethan wore that old blue band, no longer as a symbol of luck, but as a reminder that one small act of kindness can echo forever.